It is fact that the safety of journalists is intimately tied to the press freedom. Being a journalist now has never been more dangerous. The toll of journalists killed while working has risen continually. The questions remain: which actions can be taken in order to reverse this trend? What can journalists and media institutions do to improve their own safety? A pleasant day to everyone. We are the Group 4 who will be presenting and answering the question provided to us. Okay, so let me first read the question that has given to us. So with the current landscape of media in the country, what can journalists do to ensure that the truth-telling and responsible journalism continue despite the explicit threats to press freedom? In the same manner, what can the general audience do to make sure that they get the correct information from the media entities? Okay, so to answer the question, what can journalists do to ensure that truth-telling and responsible journalism continue despite the explicit threats to press freedom? So the first recommendation is a journalist should propose a resolution to the policymaker with regards to the safety of themselves. We did not just recommend this suggestion, but we also create a resolution that will be tackled in the next slide. So first, to address the explicit threats to press freedom and propose the following resolutions. So first, to investigate any acts of violence that involves a journalist, in which their armed forces or security services in which have resulted in fatalities among journalists, media workers, and other professionals working in similar fields. Second, to increase awareness among the public and military forces. With this is to train their armed forces and police forces so that they can protect journalists when they are in danger and to ensure that reporters can carry out their duties without interference. Third, to resist any control against journalists through campaigning, promoting, and supporting the freedom of expression. And lastly, to remove political affiliation and promote independence and providing information to general public.
Journalists should focus on providing context and explaining the origins of these false stories. The media organization should also invest in calling out misinformations and disseminating factual knowledge. As we adapt in an era where misinformation, disinformation, and fake news are spreading like wildfire, journalists should focus on emphasizing transparency in their daily practices. They also have the responsibility to cross-check with sources more often, as well as to limit the use of anonymity and make it as clear as possible where the information was obtained and where it came from. Journalists need to know both their rights and responsibilities under international law and the domestic laws of the countries in which they work. Definitely, journalists have their rights and they also have their responsibilities. All journalists have the right to life. All journalists have the right to protection from all human rights violations and abuses, including true killing, torture, enforced disappearance, harassment, threats, and acts of other forms of violence. In this sense, the rights, responsibilities, and accountabilities have to be established to safeguard the integrity of media and protection of the general public in the form of accountability. In the name of freedom of expression, abuses happen, and certain aspects remain largely unaccountable. Accountability is a necessity for both communicators and journalists. Therefore, states and countries shall promote a safe and enabling environment for journalists to perform their work independently and without undue interference.
To ensure that the journalists and media companies that the audience trust is not biased and have no ties to every politician or political activities.
In addition, accuracy comes ahead of speed. If you are not sure, then don't publish until you are. Being first and wrong is not a model to aim for. Being right and always reliable is. Journalists need to be totally transparent in declaring what they know and what they don't know. Fourth, to maintain objectivity in journalism. Journalists should present the facts whether or not they like or agree with those facts. Objective reporting is meant to portray issues and events in a neutral and unbiased manner, regardless of the writer's opinion or personal belief, because this is
to ensure that the journalists and media companies that the audience trust is not biased and have no ties to every politician or political activities.
now that we have already tackled about what journalists can do, let us now proceed on what we, the audience, can do, and it will be presented by Denise Opalalic.
Misinformation is very rampant nowadays, and a casual user of media entities, what the general audience can do to make sure that they get credible information is to read and cite. Everything we see online should undergo evaluation, and we have to filter it to ensure that what we are reading is true and what they are sharing something that might lead someone to confusion. In addition, as a reader and a sharer, we have to be careful about the things we're reading online because there is no doubt that many people can easily manipulate things, and that has to stop. What we can do is to inform others of don'ts and do's when it comes to getting information so that we can lessen the spread of misinformation because being a fake news peddler is one of the worst things you could ever be.
Be educated enough in knowing the factual news and information provided by the media. Everyone should have the privilege to get education. Free education for everyone is important, given that the news is easy to manipulate nowadays, especially with the use of social media. A good source of information and news are the news agencies and journalists. Before they share the news to the public, they undergo extensive process such as fact-checking and information verification. But because of the threat of media press freedom, many journalists and news agencies have doubts about sharing or writing news to the public. A way for journalists and news agencies to still share truthful facts is they must have a good reputation for reliability and credibility. Also, the news should be unbiased. This way, they are deemed trustworthy. All news shared to the public must be all about the truth information that provides insights to the people.
To make sure that the general audience gets the correct information from media entities, they should first check if the source they are getting information from is reliable. So they should check the reliability of the author, such as his or her background and reputation, and the credibility of the source itself, like was it by a news organization, an article, a website, or others. Second, they should also check for accuracy, such as searching for spelling and grammar mistakes to make sure that it was well written or was documented by a skilled writer, as mistakes can indicate an overall lack of accuracy or professionalism. They should also look for citations, like if the information is cited and where it came from, or if the citations used are valid. So to ensure that the news article are following the following criteria according to the University of Washington. So here are some of the methods that the University of Washington Library suggests. First, authority, like who is the source of the information or is the source reliable. Second, accuracy, such as what is the purpose of the content or is the information fair and logical. Then third, checking the publisher, like where is the content from or what type of media was used. Fourth, purpose and objectivity, including why the source exists, what is the reason that the information exists, or what is the purpose of the information. And lastly, determining what's what, such as how does this source compare to others.
This will be the end of our discussion. Again, we are the group 4 and I hope you have learned and applied what we have discussed. The next slide will be our references. Thank you for listening and have a great day.